Welcome back, everyone, to Clearcraft Studio. This is our third episode, and we are making something that I'm actually very excited for. I really appreciate planning and having physical things for me to be able to plan. So this monthly planner, this monthly calendar, and then also this weekly planner. This says weekly menu, which is really interesting. But these things are, I know, going to be helpful for me, helpful to any of you who'd like to purchase. But I'm excited to be able to do this. Our theme that we're going to do, this is going to be a multi-day project, and you'll see this on Wednesday. But we're going to add a clear coat of resin, which is already mixed. I realize how tiring perhaps sitting through even if it's a 30-second speed up of the resin mixing process. So this is already done. If you want to see how this works, go take a look at my previous two videos so you can see that in action. We're going to add a clear coat with some gold flakes. I haven't used these gold flakes before to both the monthly and the weekly planners and calendar. And then we're going to let that sit, of course, come back in 24 hours and add a really cool marbling effect. But we'll see those next stages in the next video, but let's go ahead and get started. So I've already measured this out. I saw some techniques, if you will, online, and they mentioned that the best way to figure out how much resin is going to fit is by putting water. So I'm gonna hope that that's the case, that actually helps. So we're going to put in this one. This one takes, with the clear coat that I want to do, it takes about between 7 and 8 ounces. This one takes anywhere between 2 and 2.5 ounces. So I'm going to go ahead and pour this. We have in this one 12 ounces, and any resin left over, it's for some side projects, for some commission work that I have. So let's go ahead and mix this one in. The big one. This is my first time using this mold here. All right, so we have our resin in our cup that we're going to use for these two, and we're going to put some gold flakes in there. I've seen some videos of this used. Haven't used it myself, like I mentioned, but we're going to put a generous amount of gold flakes in here and see how that looks. So let's go ahead and do that. And then once we put the gold flakes in here, we are going to try to break them up, mix them around, make sure that they are evenly spread throughout this beautiful resin. So here we go. All right, we're all set with that, everyone. So now that the gold flakes are mixed in pretty fairly, it looks like they broke up too. We are just going to try and fill our mold. And I'm actually not concerned that there's some resin. We're going to try to fill our mold not all the way to the top, perhaps halfway. The same with this one. If we need more resin, we have it all mixed and we still have a generous amount there. So we'll go ahead and add those gold flakes in here, that gold flakes in there, or this in there. I'm just going to go ahead and fast to speed this part up, but we're just going to add our resin throughout the calendar and then spread it so that every single place gets it, and then we'll come back to hit it with the heat gun. So here we go. All right, so we're back, and that's looking very good. So we're just going to leave it like that. We don't want to touch it. We don't want to mess it up or cause perhaps more air bubbles by moving it around. So now we are going to put about, let's say, 50 milliliters or 2 ounces or 1/4 of a cup in this. And instead of using the gold flakes like we had, the just solid gold flakes like we had initially planned, I'm going to add, actually, we'll do all of it because it looks like it's going to be a perfect amount if that exists. So instead of adding the gold flakes like we had intentionally decided with this project, we are going to do rose gold foil flakes. And that's going to look just beautiful with this project. And I'm trying to get out all of the resin from here. All right, so now that we have that all done, we are going to transition over to adding our gold, rose gold foil flakes. These actually look very beautiful. Now this one I want to be a little careful so they don't end up in here. If they do, that's all right. But we're going to try our best to not have them end up in there. And I think because this has resin, it may just add a level of difficulty, but that's all good. We'll just put it in there. And we'll be right back once we're done with these. All right, so now that that is all said and done, we're going to go ahead and grab our heat gun and hit this on a low setting just to make sure that nothing gets too hot, and then we'll be back for our transition to the next day. We are going to come back. Our next part of the project on the second day or after 24 hours is to add a white with a gold marble tone. This one will have a white with a rose gold marble tone. And that way, when you flip it over and you can write on it, it actually shows similar to what a whiteboard would show. So we'll come back in the next 24 hours. Thanks for tuning in. See you in just a bit. Welcome back. It has been about 24 hours, maybe a little more. This mold, as I mentioned, the resin actually, as I mentioned in the previous episode, this resin cures. It seems to cure a lot faster in the proper conditions. It's pretty hot out today, and it has been pretty hot out the last few days. So this really cured faster than I expected to. We probably could have continued sooner. However, we're going to continue the process that we initially had. A bit of a change of plan. So we will use, as you can see, my resin is all ready. We're going to use silver white with a bit of white glitter just to give it a little more pop effect. And then instead of using the gold and rose gold as the marble tones, we're going to actually use this very nice color flash bronze, this mica powder, the flash bronze. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to pour, let's do 3 ounces for this one, and then just over 1 ounce perhaps for this one. We're going to do things a little different. I'm going to speed it up during this. What I'll do with the marble tone for the actual flash bronze, I'm going to, after I mix it, I'll just get some. We'll do the white first. I'll get some of the flash bronze and move it around, then hit it with the heat gun so it can appropriately, for lack of better terms, move throughout the kind of spread out that marble feel to it. And then same thing with this one, and anything that's left over, I'm going to add it into these, just as a little side gift, or so people have the option. I'm sure it'll be sending more than 1 day a week. We're going to go ahead and do that. I'm not actually going to fill up the entire mold. I'm going to clean this with the paper towel right now because I think our resin, our resin mold did that. But what I'm going to do is after I take it out, and fill in with acrylic paint, fill in the dates and all of the accents or the embossed areas with acrylic paint. I'm going to add another level of resin. We'll talk about that when we get there. All right, so let's go ahead and get this started. 3 ounces for white with glitter and just over 1 ounce of the bronze. I'm going to pour it beforehand so that we don't get all that mess. Here we go. All right, so you may have seen me add a little bit more into both of them. We're gonna do that. I did that intentionally. So I noticed that with the mica powder, you tend to have this outer ring, and I saw it in my previous projects too. So I'm gonna be very intentional about mixing everything in, and then we'll go back and hit it again with the blowtorch. Again, not with the blowtorch, with the heat gun. All right, so that is all set. Now we are going to move over to our accents, to our flash bronze. We're going to get a new one up here. I'm not going to add too much of this. We're just going to add a little, I believe I said a little over a one. All right, so that is it for that one. We'll see how it turns out when we flip it over next. Now, I did mention we were not going to do a bonus project just because of all of this. However, we have too much resin, and so we are going to do a bonus project. We're going to do some flowers here, see how this turns out. So I'm just going to move everything, shift everything up a little bit. That way we have enough room for our flower mold. And I don't think that things will move up too much to where it's going to mess things up. All right, so we're going to use one of our, it doesn't matter if it doesn't fill up. Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to try to redeem ourselves with some marble effects here. So I'm just going to pour the rest of this resin, do some white mica powder in here, and we'll be right back. That is it for today's work. We're going to wait 12 to 24 hours so that we can demold, flip it around, add the acrylic to all the embossed areas, and then put some clear resin on top after the acrylic has settled in so that we can actually see the month, the dates, same here, month, the dates. And then, of course, this one will wait until the whole project is done. I'm excited to see how it turns out. I'm going to hit that with the heat gun real quick, and I will see you all in the next episode. Welcome back, everyone. It is part three, day three, and we are going to get started first by demolding these two. I'm not going to demold these or our bonus, or surprise bonus, actually. So I'm going to move this aside so it doesn't bother us. And we are going to start by demolding these. And then I actually chose a different color than gold. I talked about gold last time, but we're actually going to do a metallic uh, black color that I think is going to show a lot better in those embossed areas. I'll show you what I mean. This is a metallic acrylic paint. What we're going to do is this day three, if you will, is going to be in a couple different parts. First, we're going to put the metallic on it, the metallic paint on all of these little calendar dates, the days, the month. The same with here, all of these different areas. And we're going to let that set for about 30 minutes. We're going to use this. I'll show you all the process. I'll let that sit for 30 minutes, come back with you all, and just add a clear coat of resin and let that sit. And if you recall, in the previous day, I mentioned that we wouldn't fill it all the way up to the top so that we have the opportunity to fill the top up with resin. We're going to put this back in the mold. I've seen some people use a process that perhaps is a little messier, where you uh, fill it up, of course, flip it over, put it on top of a table or a pedestal, pour the resin on top, do what you do with the black, put the resin on top, and then just let it drip. That requires taping and a bunch of other stuff that we don't have to do, and that really may not make a difference apart from making time longer. So I'm going to go ahead and demold this one actually. I'm just going to go around and make sure I loosen this up a bit wherever I can. All right, so we're going to put it back in the mold. I'm going to explain the process and then speed this up for all of you. There's going to be quite a bit of cleaning, I'm sure, involved with this, and that's all good. That helps us stay organized and clean here. All right, so what I'm going to do one more time, I'm going to just put a bunch of black paint all over it. Same here. Go through with this, push it into all those indents, all those embossed areas. Take some stuff out here. Push it in. Come back with the paper towel. And just clean it off the surface. All right, this is my first time doing this, so wish me luck, everyone. See how this turns out. We're all set. So this was a much messier process than I imagined it would be, but it's looking actually really good. There's just some areas that I'm going to go through off camera and just retouch so that we don't get any blemishes. And then we will be back in about 30 minutes once we let this set for a little and pour some epoxy over. Give that perhaps 12 hours, maybe less, depending on the weather. It's been pretty hot, like I mentioned. So we'll just let this set for a little, come back, and see how it turns. See you in just a bit. Welcome back, everyone. It has been 30, 40 minutes or so. And as you can see, all as we did in the previous little section, all of our month, our days of the week, our titles are all filled up. Everything is ready to go. So we are going to now pour in our just clear resin into here. And the purpose of this is not necessarily to create another level, it's to go ahead and cover up these embossed areas so that everything can be filled out appropriately. And we don't have, when you use a dry erase and then use some kind of cleaning solution to clean off that dry erase so it doesn't take off. So we're just gonna with a very thin layer, we're just gonna go through and try to fill in all of those embossed areas. So I'm going to speed this up and you can watch. All right, so because of the size of this and the depth of the resin, we are not going to touch anymore. You can see in areas where it's already getting close to cure because it's such a thin level of resin. We will be back in about 12, 24 hours and finish off this process with the demolding. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for staying for this longer video. Hopefully it's not as long or longer than the others, but I appreciate it. We'll see you soon. Welcome everyone. It is the final day and I am about ready and finished with this beautiful calendar, the monthly calendar and the weekly calendar. I ended up adding some extra coats on the top. You can still see a little bit of holes. That is because it's not fully cured yet. I wanted to make sure I got this video out in time, but you all are going to see how it's going to look regardless. So, if I hold it like this, you can't really tell. Maybe I'll just hold it like this. If you can see, it looks so beautiful. So again, this project was a little more time consuming because it really needed three different coats. So I'm gonna take this one out of the mold and show you all what I mean by that. If you recall, we first did the back, turned out really nice. Then we added a thin layer, and then we put the acrylic paint. Then after the acrylic paint, we added another layer, very, very, very thin layer of resin on top so that when we write and erase with multi-purpose cleaner or even the Expo spray cleaner, we don't take off the acrylic. So this came out really beautiful and you're going to get to see a little picture, and I just realized my glove ripped, but that's okay because we don't have live resin. And then we have, of course, our beautiful weekly planner, and this one just turned out very, very nice with all of the different the textures that you can see on it. The back, of course, turned out beautiful. And then let's go ahead and demold these. These are the ones that I was actually a little more excited for. We have our sun when it's sunny. We have our rainbow when there's one out. Our lightning. Our beautiful little moon. Our cloud. And our raindrop when it rains. Very, very beautiful. I'm going to put this to the side. And then our bonus project for us all is this beautiful, beautiful flower that was used mixing that bronze, that brass color, and also this beautiful white. And again, you can see the glitter really shining out. So this is a beautiful little bonus that we have. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. Thank you for your patience as we figured out how to work with this mold. You are going to be able to see different versions of this mold. One of the lessons I did learn is the way that you pour resin on top. Do not pour it in the mold. It's better to just put, even if it's a trash bag under, pour it on top so it just pours down. Line it up with tape so that your resin doesn't come spilling down, and that gets you better results. This is going to dry, but before it does, I wanted to add a little extra to this. So I'm going to flip it around. You can see some tape residue right there. But again, that's the back. It's not going to matter. What we are going to do is we're going to get some hot glue after this. Put these magnets just like that. Put them just like this. And we have our own very magnetized calendar. Refrigerator, whiteboard, wherever you want to put it. It is totally up to you. Thanks so much for tuning in to Clearcraft Studio. Tune in this next Wednesday for our upcoming projects where we are going to work on some very beautiful coasters, some circular coasters, which you may have seen, but also some interesting shaped coasters that I think you will really enjoy. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.